This is the main character. I don't know her name. It's probably Eve from Project Eve. Project Eve was a game that was announced at the PlayStation Showcase a couple of weeks back. This is the main character. She's very Bayonetta-like. She's very sexy, very curvy, long, black flowing hair. She's definitely created to be a physically sexualized, but sexualized character. And I like her. I think she's cool. Just like I like Ellie, just like I like Abby. I don't need, every game can be different, right? And so when I saw this, I honestly, especially if you watch the trailer is very comic booky, very anime, crazy monsters and shit. It's very much feels like a Bayonetta game. I think this is from Square Enix, though. I'm like, cool, whatever. I think games should have this freedom. No one's saying they shouldn't have the freedom, but I think gamers, just like every other industry, every other medium, should be okay with the fact that there are going to be certain movies and TV shows. Like if suddenly a character walked up in The Walking Dead and he or she was total sex bait, unless that was part of the story, you'd be like, this doesn't make any sense, right? I get that. And I think games have arrived at a point, they've always been there, but they've arrived at a point for most people where they can be that. But they don't have to be only that. It's wonderful to have games that are crazy and over the top and hypersexualized. Why the fuck not? Nothing's wrong with that, right? Well, there is something wrong with that if you are the Digital Foundry folks, at least a couple of them. I want to play this because this, you guys know I am as progressive as they come. I am beyond left to the point that I am progressive. I understand that we have really done a bad job for over half the planet, aka women, in our media being very disrespectful and being non-inclusive. All of that stuff I believe in. The Me Too movement I'm a fan of. Not a fan, I mean, you're a fan of, but you're a supporter of. You believe a lot of that shit is absolutely accurate. There's nothing about the idea that we want to make sure that our creative products are more inclusive and respectful that I disagree with. But that doesn't mean there's no room for fun sexuality. Let me play this clip. I gotta fucking play this fucking thing. Listen to this goddamn thing. This is from the Digital Foundry showcase reaction to PlayStation 5. I'll just play this and shut up for about 2 seconds. Here you go.
The one thing, I know you were talking about the character from a bygone era. I do think the character model was actually like very distracting in not a good way, because like with the camera angles chosen, it just felt like this game seems like a game that came out in like 2002 in terms of its, like character design. It's like a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience. In comparison to something like Forspoken, which has, yes, it has a much more realistic looking character designs. It's not these hyper proportioned something or another's, but it also seemed, I don't know, a bit more grounded in a way that I found much more appealing than what we saw here.
From a general standpoint, I do agree with you, but I do think...
That's the gist of it, right? So now this is the character in Forspoken that they were talking about, where he was saying, I like this character. Well, I like this character too. I think she's cool looking. I mean, she's not a character in the sense that there's nothing about, she's very... she's going to have to work on a level of sort of writing. And I know Gary Witt is working on this and Amy Hennig is working on this as writers, or have done some work on this as writers. So I'm sure she'll be a very evolved, interesting character. But it's not like you look at her and go, whoa, she's got a cool costume, or she's sort of, readable as what she is just visually. She's just a nice looking lady, right? Nothing's wrong with that. But I got to say, there is a point where it's like, okay, guys, I'm with you. I am absolutely with you on being inclusive and being respectful and accepting of the fact that for too long, the game industry has been a boys' club, both in terms of the way we make the games and also the subject matter and how we present women. 100%. I'm glad it's changing. But I don't think that means that this is the only road we get to travel down now. What is this, the fucking Taliban? It's like, what is wrong with sex? What is wrong with sexy people? I'm sure you could show a bunch of women this and they'd say, yeah, she's cool looking. It's not body shaming anybody. You can be a non-body shamer. You can be proud and accepting of all kinds of body types and ages and races without also throwing out the fact that you also do have preferences. It's the craziest goddamn thing. It's the craziest goddamn thing in the goddamn world. I'd love to get this guy. This is the guy on the show. I would love to talk to him for a moment, and I don't know if he'd reach out. I don't know these guys, and he'd probably be like, "Why would I want to talk to you? You clearly think my opinion's moronic," and I do. But I wonder where it comes from. I don't think he's moronic necessarily. I don't know him. But I wonder, it's like, why can't we have both? I mean, he literally in his background has boxes of Doom. If you look in his background, there's the Doom 2 box. And I think that's the Doom 1 box over there too. I'm like, dude, that's hyper-violence. It's not real. It's just kind of this crazy fantasy. Why do you delineate? I don't care if he's gay. John Nada says he's gay. So what? My brother's gay. He can still recognize that whether you're talking men or women, sex can be overt sexuality in media can be fun. I didn't hear him say anything negative. He just didn't like the design. Controller Sports, you're simply wrong. It's such a short clip. I'll play it for you again. Here you go.
It's like a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience. In comparison to something like Forspoken, which has, yes, it has a much more realistic looking character designs. It's not these hyper proportioned something or another's, but
okay, so he literally calls it hyper proportioned something or another's. He's talking about her boobs, dude. He's talking about her fucking boobs. And this is the character in Forspoken, who, yeah, she's not distracting with her sexuality. Great. Nothing wrong with that. But both can exist. Nada says because if he is gay, he's not interested in women in a sexual way, like a straight man would. So what? I'm not interested in men, but I can go... I don't sit there and go... when I'm trying to think of games where the dudes are really buff and... Well, Kratos. I don't sit there and go, no. That's distracting. I'm like, it's Kratos. He's like Conan. What's the problem? So I don't know if him being gay or not has anything to do with it. I think I agree with you, Eddie T. The bigger crime might very well be that Platinum's going to sue somebody because that pretty much looks like Bayonetta. Luke says stop talking about him being gay. I'm not talking about him being gay. Again, I don't, him being straight gay by a whatever means nothing to this conversation. I'm just responding to this guy who says that may very well be why he's having this response, and I'm saying that doesn't make any sense. Why would that have anything to do with it? Magic Circle says, yes, both can exist. I respect his opinion. When you say you don't have a problem with it, I don't have a problem with it unless what he's saying is, I don't think there's a place for that at all in modern gaming. It sounded to me like that's what he was saying. And I got a problem with that. Luca, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, I was talking to us gays love sexy female characters. Well, there you go. So we got Luca there. Luca's a gay fella. He's got no problem with it. Like I said, I have a gay brother. I've never once heard my brother have a problem with men or women that are hypersexualized. Now, I assure you, if me and my brother sat down to watch Schindler's List and Liam Neeson walks out in a Speedo, he'd go, I don't know what this is. But that's not what we're talking about. I think that game, Project Eve, makes it very clear that this is a game that is meant to be heavy metal, comic book, over-the-top crazy. And girls like seductive characters in games, says Gino Soul. Yeah, a lot of women I know that are cool with it. I think you can be a woman or a man that says, I recognize the cruelty, and I recognize the problem with our culture being so materialistic and surface and sexualizing everything and giving so much value, especially to a woman's sexuality, that it blinds people to the actual human. I think you can absolutely, and I know women like this, you can absolutely hold that idea in one hand, and in the other go, sex is fun. Things that are really crazy sexy, whether it's porn, as long as it's done consensually and the women and the men are there because they really want to be, or it's just crazy art. Yeah, I think you can have both. I don't know where this came from that, one has to kill the other.